Hello boys and girl, today we're going to be talking about my Elementalist Incinerator. This will not quite be a build guide, but it will be something that I used to call a build diary, which is just my initial thoughts and the progression of the character and early mapping stages of the builds with some predictions for the future. Due to popular demand, this series is making a comeback and hopefully you guys find it enjoyable. Incinerate has recently received quite a lot of revamps. It used to be a quite weak projectile spell. It is still a spell, however it is no longer projectile, and as you can see from the footage, it's not really weak either. It's not quite strong, but it's not quite weak. There are some problems that I will be highlighting in the video, but there are also a lot of benefits. Some of which are really powerful leveling. I find Incinerate to be one of the stronger leveling abilities currently in the game in the caster arsenal, due to the fact that you can use it starting off from level 12 and you never really have to switch from it. You don't have to get a separate single target, and for AoE clearing is quite strong, as ignites are quite strong for leveling in the current game. It scales incredibly well with very little gear. It is absolutely a very much viable option for any sort of solo self-found. My friend Mod Onyu has kicked off the league with exactly this build, and he did quite well for himself. I think he stuck around the top 5 for quite a bit of time, and in my opinion that's something that is absolutely not to be underestimated. Overall, I think one of the biggest benefits of Incinerate, aside from its power for solo self-found or for trade league, is the fact that it simply feels really good. There is a massive downside to it, which is the wave. The Incinerate itself feels great, the channeling feels great, however the wave is a little bit slow and it's got some problems. However, if you can just get over the fact that the wave travels so slowly and assume that it's going to be hitting the mobs, it really does feel quite nice. Some of you who do watch the Twitch stream might know that this build initially started off as a trickster. The reason for that was because I thought that due to the fact that in the past and currently cast speed seems to be one of the strongest ways to scale Incinerate, a trickster would provide us with a lot of cast speed, also with a lot of attack speed, increased survivability, and quite a bit of damage too. This would simply feel better than a Elementalist, and we would have enough power to justify everything else. But in all reality, you get enough cast speed through simply gear. You don't even have to get points on the skill tree. You just need to pick up a couple items from the ground or from the trade market and go to town. As for the attack speed itself, it really is a very tiny difference, as we are using a bright beak, so any sort of attack speed increases don't feel nearly as impactful as I initially thought they would. Therefore, the natural alternative that we landed on eventually is Elementalist. I'm not very proud of it. I know it's just another Elementalist, but unfortunately the amount of area of effect and just pure raw damage that we get is undeniably the better choice. Elementalist unfortunately does create a tiny bit, little bit of a single, just very tiny problem, and that problem in particular, like on any Elementalist, is Impulsa. As you can see from the footage, it is very good to use an Impulsa, as long as you provide yourself with a high enough shock chance, and obviously with the amount of cast speed that we get, you pretty much always shock everything. Impulsa is super powerful, but you do sacrifice quite a bit more than you would on a lot of other builds, because our alternative chess piece is a lore weave, which naturally grants us very high amounts of survivability. It gives us a little bit more leeway with the stats, and it also provides us with a large amount of elemental damage if you have your Impulsa rolled well. And obviously the biggest thing about an Impulsa is the 80% max resistance, which is to not be underestimated on a build such as this one that already has quite high armor, therefore quite high physical mitigation. All that being said, if you want to go for max clear speed, if you want to get those real nice zooms and explosions, I do recommend that you do equip a Impulsa and a Stormfire ring for that extra large AoE. But do remember that there is a downside to Impulsa, which is that the corpses from the initial shocked explosion do get removed, therefore we cannot proliferate the ignite. I myself am tired of Impulsa builds. Unfortunately, I cannot get away from that item as I have been primarily playing Elementalist. So for this one, we're just gonna forget about it. If you want it, you can use it. I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna forget about it. We're gonna stick to our lore weave. And in my opinion, the clear is quite high either way, so that's just what we're gonna do. Overall, the leveling progression on an Incinerator has been really amazing, as mentioned before. All the bosses pretty much melted immediately. I did level with a 6-link tabula, but I think that even if you were to do it on a 4-link, it is going to feel quite great, and it's definitely going to feel really good once you have hit your Elementalist proliferation node. The footage that you are seeing is my character as it has just barely entered maps, so some of the maps that I am running are quite a bit higher level than me, especially the Haunted Mansion and the Sewer maps. I believe I was just about the same levels as the actual maps, so you can tell that it is actually quite powerful. As for the future of this one, I think I'm going to be leveling to quite high levels, probably expecting about 93, at which point I'll try to throw it as some harder content, possibly some Guardians, definitely some Elder, maybe some Shaper, maybe some Uber Elder. We're gonna have to wait and see. I think the single target is absolutely there. What you are seeing on the screen is a 5-link, therefore I think with a 6-link and with enough investment, our damage should absolutely be there. The only thing that worries me for those higher bosses is my leech. As you can tell, this is a MOM build, therefore our life sustain is absolutely not an issue, but our mana sustain is a little bit problematic. I do use leech on my boots, and I also use Warlord's Mark on a cast when damage taken setup, so when it comes to mapping, we always have enough mana leech. But when it comes to bosses, when they are cursed, if we haven't killed something recently, and if we're just not doing enough because of the curse effectiveness on bosses, it might be problematic at times. Therefore, I am a little bit concerned about our mana sustain, and I really don't want to resort to a mana flask. So that's definitely something exciting that we can see in the future, whether or not I'm actually going to be forced into it. Incinerate itself, I think, has great perspectives. Honestly, I think if we were to calculate the damage, it is pretty ridiculous, especially if you were to delve into a crit Incinerate build, which yeah, you can do now. Incinerate has crit on potentially something like a Inquisitor. Your damage should be more than enough for any sort of endgame content, and as long as you can cover the survivability, we should be in town for some pretty nice boss killing action. Hopefully this has given you guys a little bit of insight into the new Incinerate. I'm excited for the prospects of all the content that I will be seeing with this character. If you guys enjoyed the video diary, be sure to let us know in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed the video overall, be sure to leave a like and toss a sub. And that is all from me. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you guys. Bye!